My prediction for 2028, when the Dem Party learns nothing and does zero introspection and blames everybody
Right.
but
Right.
themselves, is that they're
Sure.
going to run Pete Buttigieg and he's going to run around the country with John Bolton. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Blue Sedition podcast, the post-election, which surprisingly we can have a post-election podcast the day after election night. I'm Nate Brady alongside my co-host Mike Smith. Mike, how you feeling today?
I'm a little down today. I'm going to be honest with you. We knew it was going to be a tough race, and the campaign trail looked good all the way up till the day of, and there was a lot of information coming out that seemed positive on its face,
Sure.
and then just absolutely crushed. I
Just,
mean,
just,
just
just,
destroyed. Kamala
just
got
destroyed.
absolutely trounced.
I noticed you reverted to saying her name wrong again. You doing that on purpose? Is that we're gonna?
I think that it takes my brain
Yeah.
to be more engaged than it is today. I'm going to be honest with you. I was up late drinking last night, and today has been a little rough.
Yeah, I think
So
we ended the stream. We did a live stream yesterday for those that followed our new Twitch account. We couldn't stream to YouTube. We had technical difficulties there. First time trying to stream there, and you have to wait like 24 hours after you request. So we couldn't do that. So yeah, it was a late night. We were having some drinks. We were fielding some questions from chat. We were watching the results come in, and we were quickly realizing that well, the night it didn't feel like 2020 in that way of even in 2020 the New York Times still was predicting or projecting either close to even or favoring Biden in a lot of areas, including Georgia. And so even though Trump was had the vote lead there, which is something that the Republicans always talk about why the election was stolen because they went to bed when Trump had the lead and then they woke up and Biden had the lead and all that nonsense. So, but last night, the New York Times pretty much had 95% likelihood of Trump not only winning Georgia but winning the whole thing. In fact, I think Georgia was called last night while we were
Georgia
on
was
stream.
called while we were on.
Yeah,
And in fact, Pennsylvania was called not 10 to 15 minutes after we ended the stream.
yeah.
So it was the death knell. We all felt it, I think, and you know it's hard. It's hard, but we need to we need to use a bit of introspection here. We need to figure out what went wrong and what went right, and like how to identify this stuff. As an example, you and I were talking about after Trump's rally in New York City, where the comedian, whatever his name was,
Tony Hinchcliffe.
and just
Yeah.
just we played the clips. It's just a lot of racist diatribe and rhetoric, and it's just ugly stuff. And then we saw this big bump in the weekend leading up to yesterday. I guess that was last week, is what I'm saying, where we had this huge number of Latino registrants coming out in Philadelphia, like an unprecedented bump
Sure.
the weekend before.
Yep.
I think that you and I naively assumed that this was in response to that. And I mean, it clearly wasn't. The Latino vote came out for Trump. So what is it about, was it Harris? Was it Trump? Why do these people show up? Why do they come out to vote for him?
So I would say that no, you can't make the correlation that those that comedian followed by those registrations meant that those Latinos specifically were coming out for Trump, but certainly Muslims and Latinos, for whatever reason, decided uh, what Trump did in 2016 to 2020 with the Muslim ban. um, harmful immigration policies and rhetoric, they decided that they've been missing that. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you. I can say,
Well, that one I can that half of it I can explain. I think. Um, Obviously in Michigan, there's a huge Arab American population, like you said, a lot of Muslim people. I don't think that they felt the quote unquote Muslim ban. I think that the Muslim ban from 2016, whenever that was enacted, mainly was to stop Muslims to from entering the country. If you already lived here and practice Islam, then I don't think it affected you in any way. Am I wrong about that?
well, I mean, it certainly affected friends, family,
It
whatever.
may have, but
And
the other
just a
side of that
sense
is that
of belonging,
sure,
and feeling like the nation that you're currently living in doesn't respect you as a person.
well, now speaking of being respected as a person, uh,
We're gonna
I know a
go
lot
there.
of Arab Americans
We're gonna go
did
there.
not show up for Harris because of her policy
So we'll
with
just
Israel.
so let's just fucking be flat out honest right now, okay?
Let's be
This is
flat out
episode
honest.
14 of the podcast, and I think we've touched on Gaza and Israel maybe once or twice in the podcast because first of all, it's something that I don't feel like we're educated enough on the history of the conflicts over there. But I think secondly, at least in the back of my mind, is certainly was like a thing that I know absolutely hurts Harris.
Yeah,
And now it's time to fucking talk about it. It
yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I all of the people who voted for, and by the way, Jill Stein didn't swing this election.
No,
Jill Stein, this isn't Jill Stein's fault. I don't even want to fucking hear one comment about Jill Stein here.
we're
Okay, I don't even want to hear it about the third
spicy
parties.
today.
I just don't want to hear it. It's
I,
the Democratic Party. Okay, you can't run. You're basically running as an incumbent but saying that you're going to adopt change, whatever, but not saying anything about what's going on in Israel. And basically, like, well, we'll talk about it, or thanks, your voice is being heard. But
yeah,
meanwhile,
her rallies, her messaging at her rallies when she had demonstrators or protesters loudly interrupting her. Like I think I said in their very first episode, I did not like her tone
we
because she
both
said
did.
something like she shouted like mom's talking basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not how you win an
Yep.
election. And then in the next one, I felt like
It
her
was
people
quickly
told her that.
fixed.
And she was like laughing, like, haha, everybody needs to have their say. It's great. And she wanted to like, I mean, I do want to spend today talking about um where the misses were, where the hits were. Like you say, what do you got to do? What do you not got to do? I want to talk really quickly about turnout. We thought, I mean, I kept reading all of these articles that was saying turnout was way up, or not turnout, but registrations are way up, mail-in ballots are way up. You know, people polled said they're going to show up, and then when I look at the results, you know, so far, I believe that they're basically all counted except Alaska, Nevada, and Arizona. So I mean, there may be 100,000 votes missing. Let's say
No, no, no. There's millions of votes missing.
there's
California,
millions of votes
California
missing.
is only 54% of the votes have been counted. California
Oh,
is
you're
a
right. I
yeah,
missed that.
yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah. So I think we're missing like probably 5 to 7 million votes in California if we're roughly looking
Okay.
at similar turnout. Now it is
Yeah. All right. All
expected
right.
according to Washington Post. In fact, I can share
Yeah.
this here. According to the Washington Post, if I'm reading this map correctly, it looks like they're expecting 69.8% of um, registered voters to turn out once it's all done versus 67.8% in 2020. And I believe the final number for California in 2020 was somewhere around 18 million. And I think
Okay.
we're currently sitting around 11 million right now. So we're still looking at.
Well, right now on the Google map, I mean, I don't, it might be different elsewhere. It says it's Harris versus Trump is 5.6 million to 3.9 million. So I mean, we're not even at
There were
10 million
we're
votes.
yeah. I mean, you count in the third parties, you're probably just over 10 million, right? So
Oh yeah, I guess it's only showing me two parties, so that's fair.
so we're probably missing 5-6 million there. And what's the total for turnout right now? Do you have that on that map?
It says the total for turnout in the state or overall.
Overall.
Overall, we have 67 million for Harris and 72 million for Trump at present.
Okay.
And that's really what I want to get down to, because I'm looking at 2020 and I'm going, that's down. That's obviously down for Harris. Like, let's give her a 6 point bump and say, like you said, California's missing some, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say 6 million.
Yeah.
That bumps her up to 73 million. So like maybe she wins the popular vote, maybe.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, um
But
but if you
but the point is, the point that I'm trying to get is, she's at 73 million, say. Trump's at 72 million. He might get another million. I don't know. I doubt it. You never know.
well look at the map here. Let's look at the map
Let's look
here
at the
and
map.
you'll see the numbers from 2020 are basically nationwide. 65% of eligible voters turned out. Okay,
Yeah,
65% in 2020.
sure,
Okay, so now
sure.
you look at the map here and you look at this key. We're looking at states. We need to be in that dark number, that dark color, or the darkest color to basically beat turnout from 2024, right?
And that's what I'm saying
And you can
is that
see
I'm looking at the
Oregon,
numbers.
Washington, Minnesota, all up there, but still even their look at Minnesota. They had a record 78.8% turnout in 2020 and 2024 75.6%. Let's talk about who's from Minnesota.
That's what I'm saying here.
That's wild to me.
Why is turnout so low when we kept reading all of these things about, record-setting registration, record-setting early voting, record-setting mail-in voting? What happened? Where did
Everywhere.
everybody go?
Literally everywhere. I mean,
I mean,
Massachusetts, Vermont, like
Joe
all of the New
Biden
England
got
states.
Joe Biden got 81 million votes in 2020. Harris isn't gonna.
Well, so
She's gonna be 10 million votes short of that.
so you know what the rhetoric is already from the right is now we can finally put to rest that Biden actually got 81 million votes, because there's no way he got 81 million votes in 2020. So now that's already the rhetoric that's been coming out from those terrible right-wing talking heads this morning.
Fine, but in the Democrat Party, you have to address this. How did we not get people to turn out?
Oh, there's a
I
very,
think,
very easy answer to that question.
okay.
And I'm going to tell you because it happened in 2016 and it happened again in 2024. And the reason
Yeah.
is we didn't choose the Democratic candidate. The Democratic candidate was anointed. Okay. And anyone who believes, other than because you voted for her in 2016 in the primaries, if anyone believes that those primaries were fully legit and that all Democratic voters felt like they had a say in who they voted for in 2016, you're full of crap. And now in 2024, the albatross flying with Kamala was anointed. She was chosen. She didn't receive a single vote in the primary to be propped up as this candidate. And we're in somewhat of a bubble, being very politically active, being very online. Okay.
Yeah.
But real people in California and across the country remember that Kamala didn't even finish. She finished last place in the primaries in 2020. Okay. She finished last in the primaries.
Yeah,
she wasn't popular among people in her own states. So to think, other than from the people who are the most enthusiastic Democratic supporters, that she would be able to carry the entire Democratic Party was extremely foolish. Now, not her fault. We'll get into this later. We'll get into it over the next several episodes, I'm sure. I think Kamala ran about as good of a campaign, a huge exception to Gaza, and talking about Palestine and Palestinian and Muslim supports and Arab Americans and all that. That huge. I'm not even going to go there. Other than that, I think that she ran about as good of a campaign as you can run, given the amount of time that you had, who you were up against, at just basically the current political landscape. I think she ran a pretty good campaign.
I agree.
Um,
I'm looking at the demos right now, and I'm wondering like what I don't understand some of these numbers. You know what I mean? Like if I look at so far exit polling, just by gender, 2020 versus 2024, Biden and Harris perform within a point of each other for men, but Biden outperforms her by 3 points against women. And I'm going, why won't
young
women turn out for Harris?
young
Like just
people,
generally.
yeah, young people
I'll,
turned
I'll
out
get to
more.
young, but
Yeah, I mean,
just start on women here. Like, why are women turning up for Biden but not for Harris? Right? That seems strange to me. Like, let's say we are running the next campaign. What are we going to learn about that? You know what I mean?
well, if I'm not even thinking about running the next campaign until I fix the primaries, for instance, in the Democratic Party.
I agree. I
I don't
agree.
even I
But
don't
like, I'm
even want
looking at
to.
this election should have some, there should be some merit about learning from our mistakes here, right?
Um, yeah, but it's just hard when you're talking about fixing the problems that were caused by the Democratic elite. I just unfortunately will have to call them because it's not that simple. It's blowing the whole thing up. It's starting over completely. I'll tell you that if
Okay,
they
so I hear you. I hear you saying that we need a different way of choosing our candidate, and I hear you saying
the rest means
that
nothing. The numbers mean nothing. I know what you're saying. You're comparing 3 points here, 2 points there. These are candidates that
but
weren't
I don't think
actually
that she
popular.
lost on. Do you think that she lost on the independent vote or on Democrats not showing out for her? Because
I,
it sounds like what you're saying is that Democrats didn't show out for her
Democrats and independents, probably. I mean,
because they didn't get a choice in the primary. Independents never get a choice in the
that's
primary.
part of the problem. We
But
need
that does, I mean,
open.
that wouldn't have changed anything.
Oh, it's.
So you're just saying Democrats didn't come
I'm
out that
saying
way.
open for you need open primaries every single state, and you need to make sure that the way that those are ordered, or it's like a single national vote for the primaries, and not this bullshit of, hey, by
So
the way, on super whatever the hell day Thursday, where all these red states vote, that's basically when we're gonna call it for the Dem primary, and all of the news outlets and the Dems are gonna put their full weight and force behind the person that won fucking North Carolina in
Super Tuesday,
in
yes.
no, I'm not. I don't think Super Tuesday is the day that I'm talking about. That's why I tried to use
Oh,
another word. Because
okay.
but anyway, um so but yes, that's my point, is that I don't think Dems had a say. Specifically Dems, we didn't have a say, even though we both voted for her. And independents definitely didn't have a say. In order to make yourself feel anchored to a political party and a political candidate, you had to have had a say in them running. And you don't, if you don't vote for them in the primary, if you're not there throughout that process, you don't have a say. You basically don't care.
So are you telling me that people voted for Trump because they selected him at the primary?
No, because people
Is
didn't
he
vote
is
for
he
people
not
didn't
any
vote
more
for Trump either.
appointed than Kamala was?
Look at the turnout. We're talking turnout, right? I
Yeah.
mean, if we're talking turnout, they felt the same way about him. If we had a proper primary and candidate here, and Trump gets 76 million or whatever he's going to end up with, the Dem candidate is going to blow him away. It's going to be 85 million to 76 million. They're going to get the blue wall, probably North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona, and it's over. People didn't come out to vote. People are tired of both of them, and they're disenfranchised by the political system on both sides. And unfortunately, as you and I know, because we've been saying it forever, when people don't come out to vote, the Republicans usually win, because they're going to pick up those rural areas where their votes count more. They get 3-1, 4-1. Then they're going to start picking up those states, and then suddenly the Electoral College is going to favor them. Now, Kamala could still win the popular vote in a lower turnout year, but it still means that those states, those electoral states, are weighted heavier and are generally going to lean more Republican.
Hmm. It's interesting.
So I mean, listen, we're a day after the election. We're gonna have a lot of thoughts. We're gonna get a lot more data on this. There's states that aren't even called yet, right? Like, I mean, uh, actually, is that true? It was true a few hours ago. Um,
Yeah, like I said, I think that Nevada, Arizona are still out.
yeah, Nevada, Arizona, and Alaska are still out. I mean, Alaska's
Sure,
gonna.
it is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, Alaska's gonna go.
Alaska, you can call Alaska. That's
Yeah.
fine.
But again, it's just not called. So but yeah, that's gonna put Trump at, what is that, 7, is that 20? So it's gonna be what, 312? Um, yeah,
Votes? Yeah.
312 electoral votes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So you think it has more to do with that than anything else? You don't think that
I
I don't
think
know.
that we're
I have trouble
micro-targeting.
not seeing patterns. I'm a human, so I see patterns. So I see 2016 and 2024, and I say, is are these states, these independents, these fence voters, are they just unwilling to elect a woman president?
um I mean, do I have to do we have to
I'm
say
not
that the
asking you
thing
to answer
do we
more than
have
I'm
to
just
say that
saying, like, is it a thought experiment?
the thing that Bernie Sanders said was allegedly said, that Elizabeth Warren said, he allegedly said that a woman is not going to be president anytime soon? Do we have to say that that's accurate? Maybe it is. I don't know if that's the case. But what I do know is that in 2016, just to prove the point here, was one of the biggest, one of the lowest popularity combined popularity of two
Yeah,
candidates
lowest
we've
turnout.
ever had, which led to one of the lowest turnouts. Actually, it's here. I mean,
There it is.
2016, 59%. You want to look at 2008, 62%. Now, we're expected to be higher than 2008.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
so Hillary won the popular vote
right,
with almost 66 million votes,
right.
and Trump had almost 63 million votes.
66
And
and 63. Wow.
yeah, as compared to take Biden versus Trump in 2020 as an example, it was 81 to 74. I mean, even then, Trump got another 12 million votes that he didn't have the first go around. Then Biden nearly got 20 million more votes than Hillary did. But again, I
Pretty crazy, huh?
I don't feel like we did it. Did we primary in 20?
What
In
do you mean?
19, I mean, 420?
You don't?
Didn't we just basically hand it to Biden and say good luck, Grandpa?
No, we
I don't
didn't.
remember doing a convention.
Are you serious right now?
I can't remember it, dude. I just can't.
Okay. 2020, Bernie Sanders came
That's
out
when he won
swinging.
Iowa.
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, he
that's
came
when he
out
won
swinging.
Iowa. Okay.
He came out swinging, and then Grandpa came down and won North Carolina and those states, and he was anointed the champion. And then people started dropping out. First of all, you remember the whole thing with Pete Buttigieg and Bernie
Yeah,
Sanders.
yeah.
And then everybody backed, started dropping out of the race. Elizabeth Warren said that thing that Bernie Sanders told her behind the curtain, that
Elizabeth Warren stayed in the
oh,
primary just for Super Tuesday breakup, and then she dropped out the following morning. It was
so
beautiful.
don't tell me
Don't tell me it's not a screw job. Yeah.
it's a screw job. I'm sorry. I don't want to be the guy, because I'm not gonna be the we need to Bernie Sanders. Oh, we got to listen in. We got to do whatever. I truly believe Bernie would have won. Okay, I believe Bernie would have won in 2016. I believe Bernie would have won in 2020. Okay,
Interesting.
I'm fine. I'm done there. I'm done there. You
Okay.
have to let the people decide who the candidate is, not tell the people who the candidate is. Because when the media tries shoving it down our throats, when the DNC tries to put the candidate in front of you and tell you who the candidate's going to be, that doesn't sit well with people.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. It clearly does not work.
Well, okay, and I'm going to keep playing the advocate. I agree with you on the merits of having an open primary. We've discussed this ad nauseum, but just to play the advocate, do you think that there is an argument to be made for the fact that Trump has run himself as a populist candidate versus these other candidates, Kamala, Hillary, and Joe? They're all well, they're definitely not populist. Like they don't admire they don't
I
stand out for the working man, the everyday man. They don't say things that everyone can rally behind.
So I need you to explain this comment to me because I will tell you that I did say this already. And I'll go to our Blue Sky account. You can follow us on blue-sedition.com. You can find all of our social links there. Let me pull up the Blue Ski here. We'll share this tab ahead. All right. And then we'll talk about this post that I made last night, which was that Jimmy Carter lost to Reagan because he tried to appeal to moderates. Hillary Clinton lost to Trump because she tried to appeal to moderates. Kamala Harris spent the majority of her campaign with Liz Cheney trying to appeal to moderates. What this country so desperately wants is a progressive populist. I'm sorry, it's just true. Bernie Sanders was a progressive populist. He would have won if DNC. I mean, look at that late surge that he pulled in 2016. It was Obama-esque. A lot of people thought that Hillary Clinton was the anointed one in 2008. Obama came onto the scene, felt very much like a populist, spoke like a populist, even if you don't want to call him a populist candidate. He was very, very close to a populist candidate and won in a
close as we've come.
Close as we've come, and won in a landslide. All right. So then, okay, people are arguing it, which is fine. I won't call them out. But this right here is populism is never the answer. Is just a flat out generalist. Like I don't even. Where does that even come from?
I don't know. I think that so I know a lot of Democrats, obviously, and I know that the majority of the Democrats my age, they're not progressives like us. They're moderate Democrats, and they think the strategy was right. Generally, they think we have to play to moderatism. We have to appeal to Republicans that want an excuse not to vote for Trump. And I got news for you. The people who were registered Republican voted 99% Trump in this election. You won none of those votes.
No.
So that strategy did not work.
Fucking stuff. I will tell you right now.
The strategy is a losing strategy.
I made this joke. I don't know if I made it on the Blue Ski. I may have made it elsewhere. My prediction for 2028, when the Dem Party learns nothing and does zero introspection and blames everybody but themselves, is that they're going to run Pete Buttigieg and he's going to run around the country with John Bolton. That's my prediction. He's going to be like, John Bolton and I are running around the country, talking to voters, appealing to moderates, whatever, and it's going to alienate.
I said this morning. I was talking to my wife about it, and personally, I think that I'll stop with the numbers because you don't seem interested in that. But I think that there is enough of the independents or undecided voters who just decided that they would rather have any man over that woman for the second time. And so I think, okay, that tells me that if we run a woman, she's going to lose on not her merits, but just who she is. And then I think, well, does that mean we cannot run Buttigieg in the next election because of who he is? He's a gay man, and he's going to have the same sort of quality about him that people are simply not going to vote for because of their biases or their uncomfortabilities or whatever. And so I agree with you. I mean, 28 is looking like Buttigieg unless it's a Harris repeat for whatever reason. But we didn't see that from Hillary. We're not going to probably see it from Harris.
I think
go ahead.
I think I will say before people call me out on it, is in 2020, which I believe somebody even said in my replies there, is that, well, this doesn't really make sense because Biden won in 2020. And so there of course, being a woman is at play here. In 2016, you can argue that but her emails was really but she's a woman if you're looking at this, right?
I agree.
But The key thing to look at here is that Donald Trump had one of the lowest favorability ratings of any president on his way out of office because we were in the middle of COVID.
We were in the middle of a recession.
You could have put Kamala there then, and
Can I ask?
she could have won that.
I agree that had the lowest turnout for him. Like the just like that was his weakest, I would say. But I mean, I agree that it seems like you like to bring him up, so I'm going to. The first term Trump was like Jimmy Carter, and that the Iran crisis, the hostage crisis, happened right as the election started happening, and he couldn't get them back in time.
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
then Reagan was making kind of backhanded deals, and Donald
And
Trump's
so it
talking
was
to
like
Netanyahu, and yeah,
anybody with a pulse, and we proved that by putting Grandpa up there, could probably beat Trump in 2020.
right.
Just running on, look at how terrible things are. We're in lockdown. There's this thing. He's mismanaging COVID, and just running on how terrible your opponent is as opposed to on your merits. This time around, I think Kamala ran on her merits, and Trump ran on.
Well, Trump ran on look how terrible things are, but the problem is,
He ran on the economy. He said the economy's bad, Detroit is bad, immigrants are bad, and really, I think that his messaging was basically, he said, I mean, we like to focus on his hate speech a lot, which I think is valid, but he did focus a lot on saying how bad the economy was, even if it isn't. I think that a lot of people felt like, I see these tweets all the time where they're like, please stop telling me how good the economy is when I have $2 in my bank account and I don't know how to make rent. Like, I see these tweets all the time.
yeah, I mean,
And
sure.
so
I
I'm
mean,
going,
that's bad.
here, I have one right here. Okay. It reads, please stop acting surprised. A right-wing populist being elected when the people of a country are barely living paycheck to paycheck is, historically speaking, the most predictable thing that could have happened. I'm like, yeah. Somebody, it's like Bernie's thing. If he comes out here and says, I'm going to get you Medicare for all, we're going to do away with insurance entirely, it wins 380 of the votes or whatever it is, the electoral votes. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
The silent population won the election for Trump. I think there's a lot of people who don't like Trump as a person or a candidate, but have been financially struggling for the past 4 years and quietly voted for change because they're afraid to show support for him as a candidate. There are people who feel this way, clearly. And these are just
obviously
posts that I'm reading right now. And it's just, there have to be enough people here who are like, enough. I need something. And maybe he can't do it. Maybe he can, but you're not doing it now.
So here's what we're gonna see. The Republicans are probably gonna win the House. They've won the Senate, and they've won the White House, and they have SCOTUS as well. We're gonna see real change, and it's not gonna be change that we're probably gonna be happy about, but they're going to enact real change. And what Democrats do is they run on this, abortion rights. They run on criminal justice reform. They run on these things, and then when they get in, it's either slow incremental change or no change at all, and it's just not good enough. They need to ram things through and hard. You can quote that out of context, like Republicans do when they're in office. They needed to codify Roe in 2010, 12. When did Obama have the House, the Senate?
Yeah, it was like 9-10 basically. Yeah.
So they needed to codify Roe then, and then I think even when asked about it, he was like, "Well, it just wasn't the highest thing on our list of priorities." Bitch, it doesn't matter. Everything should be high on your priority. You're the president of the United States. It shouldn't just be I can only think about healthcare. No, you have control. Do the things that you promised you were going to do. Joe Biden ran on legalizing marijuana. Tell me where we're at with that.
Still Schedule 1 is.
Oh, no kidding. And then it'll be, well, we couldn't really do anything because of the Senate or whatever. The House. Hold on. Whatever.
I think that those things do require incremental change in some cases. And
in some cases.
he did pardon like a gajillion marijuana offenses.
They're
And
going
so,
right back to jail because we're going to make room for it once the January 6th folks are all pardoned.
all right.
I, it didn't do anything unless you codify these things into law. It does not do anything. Pardoning those people doesn't do anything. You're oh man, what when we see who's getting locked up and for what over the next 4 years, I mean, holy shit, this is going to be insane. We're going to see, talk about riots. Oh my god, we're gonna see, this is going to be insane. I haven't even put together my thoughts on predictions of what things could look like next summer, for instance.
Right.
It's
So the only things that we've sort of landed on in terms of a Trump policy so far is that he's going to enact hilariously large tariffs,
yep,
and that he's going to like make it so that there's no you don't incur income tax on tip amounts and some other things. It's sort of a vague strategy. We'll see if that actually comes to pass, but even still, I I don't know what the platform is. Obviously, I don't think he's actually going to round up millions of people to deport them, but he might. I mean, I don't know. He said he would, but that'll require state and local support, and I don't think that they're going to get that except in the deep red states. Like you're not going to get support from California. The feds could come here and be like, "We're rounding up all the Mexicans and sending them back," and we would go, "Yeah, okay, have fun with that." And then they would send 30 or 40 over 4 years. Good job.
good job. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what his policies are, so I can't tell you. I'm still at a loss because I
Yeah,
think one of the last things he said was he was going to get rid of income tax, and it was all going to get
he's
paid
going to get
for
rid of
with
income tax.
tariffs. I mean, I
Do
don't
you know
think.
how he's going to pay for that?
Well, Mexico's paying for it, isn't it?
No, he's going to gut Medicare.
Oh, well, sure, and Social Security,
Medicare, Social
and
Security, that'll pay for no income taxes.
and then all of the people who voted for him, just like similar stories when it first started in when things first started in 2016. Somebody who voted for him's husband got deported. Somebody who voted for him's daughter died.
Yeah,
It's this is going
no,
to
and
happen.
we talked. It was out of pain and stress last night, but we talked about it a little bit on the live broadcast. But this isn't going to affect us the same way as it is
It's not
the people who wrote these posts that I read.
right.
Those people who are just begging for change and hoping that it works, they're the ones who are going to suffer the most.
They're gonna get hurt the most. We're gonna be fine, if not better. Who knows? I don't know. What is
We're
that?
going to be okay.
That's the stock market, right? Yeah,
That's the Dow Jones.
yeah. So
The Dow Jones thinks that it's great that Trump is the president. By the way,
so my 401k is going to be fine.
100 points today.
My 401k is going to be fine. Your 401k is going to be fine. But you know why? Can I tell you why the stock market is up? You might not know. I've explained it in kind of other channels that we're in. Every company that is preparing right now for Trump's tariffs as an eventuality, some sort of tariff as an eventuality, is going to do this. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is exactly what they're going to do. Right before the end of Joe Biden's term, basically between now and December, they're going to start raising prices. And they're going to start raising prices on things that they know are going to be affected by tariffs. So things that would, I think that we talked about, it would include like steel, aluminium. Is that how the
Aluminium? Yeah, that's how the Brits say it.
Precious metals, anything, basically anything and everything is on the table. Prices are going to go up right at the end of Joe Biden's term, and they're probably going to go up massively.
Predicting like a price gouging situation, or do you think that the tariffs will cause this? So they're
it's going to be price gouging at first, preparing for tariffs. When the tariffs come, the prices will continue to rise and not resettle. So it will look like, hey, we really need to offset based on tariffs. Right now they're going to hit you twice. Right now they're going to tell you they're preparing for tariffs, and then they're going to hit you again when the tariffs come. But one thing that they're going to do is they're going to keep prices very, very high right at the end of Biden's term. So when you go back and you look at the national averages of things at the end of Trump's term in 2028, you're going to see, if the prices go down even a little bit, you're going to see that the Republicans did better for you than the Democrats did. Because just look at the numbers at the end of Biden's term, and that's going to be their push to do it again in 2028. It's not a conspiracy theory; it's a thing that they literally do.
Right.
And so that's why you're seeing big gains in the stock market right now, is because they're preparing not only for massive price gouging, which is just huge bottom line profits. They're talking about when Trump's administration takes over, say goodbye to Lena Khan of the FTC, one of my favorite people right now, who are cracking down on all of the terrible practices that these companies are doing. That's gone. You know, for investigating price gouging isn't even going to be a thing. Like,
Right.
it's over. It's over. So these people that think like inflation's going to get better or the cost of their fucking eggs are going to be better, you know, in 2026, you're fucking insane.
Yeah. It's going to go up to, you know, $10 a dozen, and then it'll drop to $8 a dozen, and you'll be kissing their boots.
It's literally in December. Let's talk December 15th and see what the price of some of your shit is. It's going to be insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I hadn't considered that, but that's a scary thing to think about. And again,
Yay!
it's the people who are taking this risk. Interesting. And they'll never, I mean, is there any way to engage with them in a way, in a meaningful way, to be like, do you see these things happening? Like, are you aware of how much you're spending now versus you were back then? I mean, obviously not, because they were like, were you better off 4 years ago? You know, subtext during a lockdown pandemic where everybody was dying.
You can't
Today, and they're like, yeah, I was way better off back then. You're like, what the fuck?
You can't argue with people on this, because it's a two-pronged thing. One, we're playing team politics in such a way that it's, you know, like if you're trying to tell me that I made a mistake, you're an idiot, because oh no, what's going on right now is a result of 4 years of Biden's economy, and Trump is fixing it, or, you know, they'll come up with some other reason. But the other thing is, when the Democratic Party offers change and you quite literally do not feel any change, it's not their fault for feeling the way that they feel.
Yeah, I have to say that during the Obama administration, his first run was on change and his second on hope. And I don't think that, you know, these people that I'm, you know, talking about, they didn't see change. They didn't feel hope. I think that they felt like, 8 years have gone by. What have you done for me? And they're like, oh, we made you so that you had to buy health insurance. And they're like, I need to pay rent, man. I can't be spending my money on health insurance when I'm 22. Like, I don't have money.
So
I am healthy. I don't have money.
So what you're saying right now is a really good example of how the things that do help people can be taken in a very bad light if put in the right hands. So talking about Obamacare, yeah, oh shit, we made you pay for that. But you know what? What else happened is that healthcare, you couldn't be denied because of pre-existing conditions, which was a huge thing that the Democrats did.
Yeah,
but people couldn't feel that because they were getting smacked. You know, they're getting robbed.
Yeah, no, I know.
So I mean,
and so like going back, like you said, they had the bully pulpit. They had every piece of it. Was it just like, I don't know, we should look at it. It's probably interesting, but I'm guessing like one of the 60 senators he had was Manchin, and there was probably other, you know.
Oh, he never had a supermajority.
I thought he had 60 in the Senate.
But I mean, he never had an actual supermajority, right? Like,
right.
You know.
And so that's what I'm saying is like, I'm wondering, did they ever consider Medicare for all, or just a government option, you know, the single payer option, which is
no, they never considered that.
Yeah, but it's because, you know, they were looking out for their donors, I assume, because big pharma's they love Democrats.
Yeah,
What do you got?
I'm trying to. I'm remembering President Obama was sworn in 2009 with 58 senators to
Okay.
support his agenda. So he would
Uh,
have had 59, but Republicans contested Al Franken's election in Minnesota, and he didn't get seated for 7 months. Are you listening, guys? Are you listening? Then in July, Al Franken was finally sworn, giving him the magic 60, but only in theory because Senator Byrd was still out. 59. Yeah, he basically never had 60. I mean,
right.
it was essentially a myth as I recall.
Yeah, yeah. I'd forgotten. He did have the number 60, but it was on paper. You're
Yeah.
right.
So,
So I
um,
mean, but that's the thing though, right? Is that like so Obama ran on we're going to fix healthcare. He didn't have a plan as far as I recall, but it was going to be insurance for everyone. And that was like the tagline. Bernie's been running for the last 20 years on Medicare for all so that it mirrors more of what the British system is, which is you go into the
but
hospital and they treat you and then you leave and then
but
that's it.
Bernie's been running on more than just that. He's been running on
Of
Medicare for
course,
all and
sure,
justice
sure.
reform, and not
I,
saying this is my only focus and the only thing I'm going to spend literally 4 years of of my administration on. And I can't look at anything else while I'm doing that. What do you want me to do?
right.
You know?
So what I mean, this is the frustrating thing about being in the Democrat coalition, right? Is because the majority of the party will learn nothing about from this election or past
Right.
elections.
Right.
They will not see that attempting to appeal to moderates or independents or sensible Republicans is a bad idea. They won't acknowledge that. They will never see that objective statistical proof, you know? And it's disheartening because you're right. I mean, I can see it in 4 years. They're going to run Buttigieg against probably Trump again because the SCOTUS will just change the Constitution, and he'll be 82, and it should be a walk in the park. And Buttigieg will garner 60 million votes, and we'll go, "What the hell? Why are they doing this again?" And they'll trick me, and I'll get fired up in the last 3 weeks.
You'll be like I was.
I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Look at how good he is at talking. He's look at his rallies. He's great.
He's a
Everybody
great
loves
speaker.
him.
Did you see
His
that
TV
thing?
is the best."
Did you see that thing he just did? I'm actually being serious. That thing he just did where he debated like a room full of I don't know if it was Trump voters or independent voters. There's like 19 people in a circle and each one comes up and he takes them all on, you
He
know.
did a simul. It's pretty
He
funny.
did a simul. He did like a chess simul, where he took them all on, and he's very well spoken. But what will happen is he will run. He'll be anointed, and I'm not saying this. It's going to be somebody like this. I keep using Buttigieg as the example of what the Buttigieg and Bolton as the example of what the Democrats are probably going to do. But he's going to end up running. He's going to be anointed. He's going to be backed by Pfizer and Moderna and health insurance companies and big tech companies and whatever. And you're not going to get that change because we have big money in politics. And until that is fixed, this is how it's going to be. And it's frankly going to be this way for the rest of our lives. I mean, I'm being a little bit defeatist right now, but I just
You're allowed to be a little defeatist today.
today we'll talk more about how we fight in the upcoming episodes. I've told some people who have asked us, what do we do now? What's our next step? How do we fight? We're collecting our thoughts just like everybody else is.
Yeah,
We
but I
and
mean, honestly, that's that is why we started Blue Sedition, and I've been saying this since day one.
I'm gonna say, I want to say this. We had two different, very different meanings of what Blue Sedition meant, which I think is funny. You came up with the name Blue Sedition, and the
Yeah,
reason for it was basically how can these big blue states like California, these hardline blue states, protect themselves from what are possibly some of the insane things that are going to be coming down the pipe nationally from a MAGA White House and a MAGA Congress, right?
which we're going to see now.
Which we are going to see. And by the way, I'm fully on board with that. That is, I'd like to do that. When I heard Blue Sedition, the first thing I thought, and why I was on board with it is how we separate ourselves from the Democratic Party and basically gut it and 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 start over again.
I think we're going to have to do both.
I think so. I really do. And I don't say this, and I hopefully I'm sorry if you're listening and you're a huge Kamala supporter or you were a huge Hillary Clinton supporter. Listen, I you guys hated me in 2016 when I was a huge quote unquote Bernie bro.
Bernie, bro.
I didn't like you guys very much back then. I have certainly come around on that, and hopefully you guys have too. We have to find a way to fix this party together, or wait, or this is the end
We have to fix this problem specifically. We keep nominating, and in some cases, we aren't allowed to nominate candidates who check the boxes on paper for the Democratic Party, and then they spend a lot of time and effort, A, campaigning to themselves, so speaking to the choir, and B, trying to court Republicans in an ill-advised effort to try and win their vote over when for 3 elections in a row and more, you have not won a single one of them. You've gotten no votes from these sensible Republicans. You've gotten none. It's time to change the game plan. And again, like Nate said, neither he nor I we're not excited about Hillary Clinton. No one was excited based on the turnout. We went over the numbers earlier. That was the most just milk toast election, and the energy and the turnout was reflected. This time around, I think that more people were energized about Harris. I know that Nate and I even found things about her and her policies that we liked. We didn't agree with all of them, obviously.
I mean, certainly not anything on Israel. That's
not anything on Israel, no. But some of her policy stuff I was genuinely excited about. I liked her VP pick. I thought that it brought a different flavor to the ticket that we hadn't seen with either Clinton or Biden. But ultimately, these people aren't, they're not populists. They're not going to be popular enough. And the messaging as well. Their policies are global policies and they're long-winded policies. Like,
right.
I think that running on strengthening Social Security and Medicare, which Biden ran on, are good policies on the whole. But if
Are they strengthened?
Sure. If you are one of these voters who's living paycheck to paycheck, you're like, fuck Social Security, man. I got to make rent. And you're thinking, if Trump's going to gut Social Security, maybe that's $200 more a week I'm going to have in my pocket.
Explain to me.
You're going to eat cat food when you're, a retiree, or you're going to work until you die. But, the immediate, where we live and breathe currently, maybe you'll have a little more scratch, and maybe that will feel good. Maybe you can, have a creature comforts or a better car or get a better job that doesn't require so much of you. Like, I can see that being appealing.
Maybe,
but if you're running on it when you're 65, you'll appreciate this. The people in the here and now aren't going to vote for that.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear you, Nate. I hear you loud and clear. This is the message of the Democratic Party for the last 2 decades, at least, is we're going to do these long things incrementally. And the people who are stuck in the middle of but it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
I've got to take my kids to childcare because I got to go to work.
Right.
I don't have any money in my pocket.
You have to do more. You can do those incremental things, but you have to do way more and faster. And can you explain? Yeah. Can you just steel man for me? Maybe you can't. What's wrong with populism? Why am I getting pushback from a couple of people online here?
I think I can't speak for the people you're talking
right.
to.
I know.
The Democrats that I know who consider themselves we're staunch, we're moderate Democrats.
Sure. Well, there you go.
Those folks, they don't want to appeal to populism because they believe that will lose Democrat voters while picking up independents. I swear to God, this is the reason that I've been given from many, I mean, 10 people that I know.
Yeah.
and, and
Can't
it's
with this shit anymore.
and I can't help but just just bat eyes at them like, the fuck are you talking about, man? Are you telling me that a popular candidate outside, like, it doesn't stand the smell test, right? It doesn't pass that. So
Even
I don't know.
a fake populist. We're talking about Donald Trump, who is he's gaslighting as a
He
populist. I
doesn't
mean,
even do half the things that he promises to do. So
right,
like,
but
but he promises them.
he
He
promises them.
promises you a pony, and people are like, look, the other side's not promising me a pony.
He's like, I'm gonna steal a pony from the drained swamp of the Democratic elites, and I'm gonna give it to you.
What
And
if
that's populism. I mean, that's. I mean,
if
it's
but,
fake, but
but what did Harris promise? Like honestly, what did Harris promise? Was she going to bolster jobs better than Joe Biden did in these 4 years? His infrastructure bill put millions to work. We have the lowest unemployment rate we've had in decades. So Joe brought in jobs. Was Harris going to improve on that somehow? Was she going to raise wages, knowing that she wasn't going to have the Senate and the House? How she can't raise minimum wage?
she was
So
she.
what was she going to promise? She can't promise anything.
Like I said, it was hard being the basically the incumbent without being the incumbent and without being chosen by the people to be the candidate. It's a wild situation. It truly
I
was.
do know there were a lot of liberals or lefty Democrats who they felt very sour or soured, I should say, to the idea that Kamala was handed the keys to the kingdom. Um, and I mean, they waited a long time. I think both. Why was Biden in the running at all? I mean, other than being the incumbent, but he would. It's clearly he was just too old
You
and too tired to do
you
it.
and I called for a primary, just like a regular primary, because we didn't think Biden was going to be able to run again.
We called for it last year.
Yeah, of course.
We were saying, December last year, we're like, Biden is looking bad, and he should announce that he's not running again so
Right.
that we can start the primary cycle back in January. And
And
they didn't do it.
yeah,
And then they
yeah.
announced that Kamala she won all the primary votes. What? Okay, I didn't vote. Fine. In June. And you're like, this is an expedited convention, and it's just
Yeah. Look, some idiot in our YouTube Shorts comments called us Democratic plants or plant not Democratic plants but like Republican plants because I don't know, maybe one of our clips was something arguing about Kamala or something like that. But basically, like we were trying to help the Dems lose. I got to tell you, I have never in my life kind of acted the way that I've acted this election, knowing what was at
yeah.
stake,
I have
trying
known
to
Nate
push.
for many, many years, and this is the most coalition minded, I will say, he has been. He has been reaching across the aisle like you would not believe. And
Within our aisle, yeah,
yeah,
within our side,
he's
reaching a.
he's gonna get so much worse. He's just gonna be very anti-democrat soon, and that's okay.
it's all right.
You're gonna have to reel me in. This is probably gonna be. I mean, you're by no means a moderate Democrat or anything like that, but
No,
you're gonna have to pull me way in. You're gonna have to reel me in because I did. I basically did what the Hillary Clinton people told the Bernie Sanders people to do last time, which was get in line and shut your fucking mouth and back the chosen one so that we can win this thing because it's the most important election of our lives.
We actually did more than that. What we did was we took what was blamed on us really in 2016. They were like, the Bernie bros lost us the election because they didn't show up, and this time around you guys better pull your fucking weight. And I'm like, okay. And we did. We championed the Harris campaign. I talked to every single person I know and tried to get them to vote Harris. We have family members and friends who enacted voter registrations with people who have never voted before, and we got them into the Harris camp. We actually did like campaigning on her behalf, basically,
From
like
postcards to voter registration to all of that stuff. And
It wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
So now we tried it your way.
They're
Now
never
it's
going to
time
try it. They're never going to try it the other way. We got to figure out, I think, getting money out of politics. I think fixing the primary. By the way, forget getting money out of politics. That's why it's kind of, I brought it up twice. That's never happening with the current administration, House and Senate. Sorry,
You're not going to see it for 100 years. It's just not going to happen.
It's not happening.
It's going to have to be one of those generational things where it gets so bad that either the country collapses or there's like just internal a riot or something where people take over and just start axing rules, because we power right now will never relinquish it.
We have to fix what we think we can control from within the Democratic Party. And that number one thing on my list after fixing or removing money from politics, which I don't think we can do right now, is fixing the primaries. And fixing the primaries, establishing grassroots movements, really already. I mean, we have to be thinking about 2026 midterms today. We have to be thinking about ballot initiatives. We have to be thinking about flipping seats. We have to be thinking of all of that. Literally, I'll give you guys another couple of days to shake this off, but then we got to fucking get it together. And
you got to dust yourself off and get back to it.
And Mike and I are going to be on the forefront of that, even more so than we've been in the past. People are asking us again on Blue Sky and on our other socials, what do we do now? What do we do to fight? And I don't have an answer for you right now. I'm not even organized enough to have that answer for you, but we're gonna be pulling that together. And we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure this out together.
Because we have to.
We don't have to if we're all ready for what's going on in Russia to happen here. This podcast could get me thrown out of a window. If you're ready for that.
You mean you would jump out of a window?
No, I mean that, the Putin, the Trump, I almost said the Putin administration, the Trump administration will come and find me and throw me out a window because we can't have dissenting podcasts.
You're going to jump out a window once a Putin guy shows up. Unrelated matters.
Anyway, I think this was nice to get, there's a whole lot of pressure in here being built up. I feel, and I need a little.
I think you needed this. I think this was some therapy for you. I think that we're all frustrated. Again, I wanted to talk numbers today. You were not in the mood for numbers.
I'm sorry. I want to go back to that just one more time. I think I understand what you're saying. I think those numbers are important. I think they're just a lot less meaningful when turnout is so low.
But that's what I wanted to talk about is low turnout. We can talk about that another time. I think that we touched on a lot of stuff today. I think that it was mainly, like we said, coming in from last week, we said in our Friday episode, we're going to do an episode on Monday is a vibe check before the election. We had our live cast yesterday during the election, and then today we've got a vibe check after the election. This was always the plan.
Yep. And
the vibes today are not good.
That's not good.
That's the honest.
There are some people in the comments on our previous YouTube shorts that were very excited about our podcast today for all the wrong reasons. They want to sip those liberal tears, and like I said, here, have some of my liberal tears. I'm gonna be fine. I'm going to be fine. Mike's going to be fine. But keep an eye on yourself. Look in the mirror and see how well you're actually doing. Is this about revenge for you? Or is this about actually getting cheaper eggs and gas? Okay. And let's see if it actually works out.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, you can come and feast on our pain all you like, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother Nate.
I think
what we're bothered by is the political process.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Political party, and how mired it is in its inability to take this type of sit down with introspection and learn from the mistakes that they've made, and then make changes. There's more to touch on. We'll get into another episode, but I think that there is some things that can be learned here that we should put a spotlight on.
I would like to know if you've made it this far, if you're listening, if you have any thoughts about what to do to fight. Let's leave comments. Let's talk. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Drop by any of our socials. let's start opening up the doors of communication with each other, especially within the Democratic Party. Even Republicans who didn't vote for Trump, I want to hear from you guys too. And then another thing I want to kind of call out is Mike and I are both very technical guys. We both have worked in tech for many years. We both built many successful apps for other companies. We have the ability to build something that could help here too. So I'm curious if you have any ideas on things that you think might help. Maybe whether it's coordination efforts for 2026 or things like that. What do you think is out there, or that you wish were out there that you think could help in kind of our fights going forward, right?
Yeah, like mobile apps to help coordinate door knocking campaigns or something like that. Any idea? See what sticks.
Probably some of that stuff already exists. So yeah, I'm looking for anything like that. So anyway, I think this was good for me. Thank you for allowing me to get some things off my chest. I've still got a lot to say, which we will be saying over the next several weeks. It's going to be. I'll tell you one thing, Mike. I know that for us, as far as content goes, certainly a lot easier to
yeah, we're sort of like Jon Stewart when he was running the Daily Show and he had only Republican presidents to deal with.
Exactly. And I have a feeling that a lot of the news networks, maybe other than is it ABC or CBS that's going to lose their broadcasting license now? Yeah. So okay. Thanks everybody for dropping by. Listen, first of all, if you're not feeling great, if you're feeling really down, reach out to somebody. Reach out to somebody that you care about. Reach out to us. Reach out to just don't go through it alone. I can't tell you right now with any promises that it will get better, but I can tell you that we're all going to fight. So let's wake up again tomorrow. Like I said last night, one thing I know for certain is I'm going to go to bed tonight and I'm going to wake up tomorrow and we're going to keep fighting. So
well said.
Until next time, see ya.